Hello everyone, welcome back. Today the topic is When You're Old by W.B. Yeats. This poem concentrates on Maud Gonne. Both W.B. Yeats and Maud Gonne were nationalists and political figures in Ireland. Yeats proposed to her numerous times and was turned down each time. Both went on to marry other people, but Maud Gonne had great impact on Yeats' work, which can clearly be seen in this poem as well. He was in love with Maud Gonne, but she preferred to stay his muse instead of accepting his love. Muse is someone who inspires us, and many poems W.B. Yeats wrote inspired by his muse, that is Maud Gonne. So this poem highlights the unrequited love of W.B. Yeats and Maud Gonne. Unrequited means something which is not reciprocated or returned. Adhura pyar, one-sided love, is unrequited love. Now, basically, W.B. Yeats is dramatizing his unrequited love in the sense that he is writing a poem in the present, predicting the future, and he says that if you are not going to accept my love now, I can predict that this will happen for sure in the future. Although one thing I must say, that he predicted that you will take down my book of poems and read a poem dedicated to you, and he actually ended up writing a book of poems dedicated to Maud Gonne, The Rose. So now I'm going to start explaining the poem, one para at a time. When you are old and grey and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once and of their shadows deep. In these lines, the poet is directly talking to his muse. He instructs her to take down a book which is written by him and to read it when she is old, and she is grey, in the sense having grey hair. Now hair full of sleep means we can take it in two ways. One is that as she is very aged, so she is tired most of the time and wanting to rest and sleep. The other meaning, which is more appropriate, is approaching death. Now nodding by the fire, this means that she is feeling drowsy and sleepy and is sitting by the fireplace because she is aged and she is trying to be comfortable when she reads. The poet also instructs her to read slowly, or he assumes that being aged, she will read the poems or the lines very slowly, and reading those lines will make her remember the old days. She will be reminded of the soft look which she possessed when she was a young girl and when she was having deep shadows in her eyes. Deep shadows means the feelings or the emotions that only a loved one can understand. Not everyone who looks in your eyes can understand what all is going on in your mind. So yeah, that is what she is reminded of. He also tells her to remember the soft look that her eyes had once. Basically, he is telling her to remember her time of youth when she was very pretty and her eyes had that twinkle and dreams. How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love, false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. Here, moments of glad grace refers to the time of youth. Moments, remember, do not write MOVEMENTS, MOMENTS is the word. पल बोलते हैं जिसको. So, moments of glad grace means the time of youth, which is mostly very happy and filled with beautiful memories. As he is telling her to remember the beauty that she once possessed, he is also comparing his love with the other people who flocked around her. He says that they were in love with only your physical charms, and so their love was temporary and not true. But you will then be reminded of my love, of the love of one man who was not in love with your physical charms but in love with your pilgrim soul. The word pilgrim means Shraddhalu. Pilgrim is someone who makes a visit to a holy place, holy shrine. Soul is something which, according to him, is forever. It does not change with time, it remains the same. He means that he was in love with her in the true sense because he loved her character, her personality, and her soul over her beauty. So, the love which is based on personality, character, and soul of a person is truer rather than the love which is only based on appearance, because that is false or temporary and lasts only till the outer beauty or the appearance lasts. The last line here is loved the sorrows of your changing face. By sorrows of changing face, he means that when the transition from her youth to her old age takes place, obviously she will not be very happy. None of us feels happy when we start getting old or start getting wrinkles and saggy skin. So the changes, whatever starts reflecting on her face, will also be sad. She will not be happy. And when her looks wither away, when she does not look pretty anymore, the people who loved her for her beauty, they will also vanish like her looks. And he says that I will be the one who will even be loving you when you won't be very pretty. Now he tries to make his point more clear to her that my love is true and it will not fade away when your physical charms or your beauty fades away, and when you turn old and stop looking as beautiful as you were when you were young. And bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and his face amid a crowd of stars. Now, in these lines, we can make out that the tone of the poem is changing. The first two paras were kind of very romantic and positive, but in the third para, the tone of the poem has changed, and now this one is filled with sadness and longing and a feeling of regret on the part of the lady when she's old. Here when we says bending down beside the glowing bars, he means glowing bars, like I initially mentioned that she will be sitting nearby the fireplace. So the glowing bars refer to the glowing embers in the fireplace. जब आग लगाओ तो कोयले लाल लगते हैं and they glow, so that is what the poet is talking about. And there might be two reasons why the old lady might be bending beside the glowing bars. One, she might be feeling tired and slouching. Slouching means sitting like this, jhuk jana, okay? The other reason might be reaching out for the warmth of the fireplace, because she might be feeling very lonely when she is reminded of the poet and the love that she missed out on just because she rejected him. So she will murmur very sadly. Why murmur? Murmur means speak very softly. अपने मुंह में बोलना. Two reasons why she is murmuring. One, she is very old and weak. The other thing, that she is talking to her own self. Like, उसको अफसोस हो रहा है तो वो अपने आप को ही बोल रही है. Also, this indicates that she might be lonely and not be having anyone around her to whom she could say this, so she is only talking to her own self. Now, when he says love fled, it means that she will then remember that she had lost out on his love. And paced means he is trying to imply that because she did not accept his love, so his soul was, he was not at peace, and that is why he'll keep pacing. But then a time will come that he will hide his face among the stars, which implies that he'll be dead and he'll be like a star shining in the sky. Like when one dies, we assume that he or she becomes a star, but they are unreachable. We cannot reach out to them anymore. So he's predicting the future, that she is very sad on missing out on his true love. And this is a very bold assumption, by the way, by the poet. Now, coming to the poetic devices used in the poem. Imagery is a use of words to describe ideas or situations which prompt you to imagine the situation. It gives the readers a descriptive picture to imagine. This poem is full of imagery. Imagery means the lines which make you imagine a situation in your mind. Like in the first paragraph, you can imagine an aged lady sitting by the fireplace and trying to read a book and having that dreamy look in her eyes when she goes into flashback. And then in the second para, you can imagine her thinking about her youth and then feeling sad when she thinks about the poet's true love and the false lovers that had surrounded her. In the third paragraph, you can imagine an old lady sitting by the fireside, feeling very sad and dejected on losing out on love. She's feeling very tired and regretful about the choices she has made in her life, because old age is the time when you think back to the decisions that you made during your youth or your young age, and many a times your past decisions make you feel sad and regretful. So that is what the mindset of the old lady must be. That is the imagery that the poet has tried to present in front of us and in front of his muse, and trying to convince her that choose me or else this is what your fate is going to be. Next is your alliteration. In the second para, glad grace is alliteration because the alphabet G is being repeated. You can also spot repetition in the second para as the word loved is repeated 4 times. Next, in the last para, you will see personification. Now, personification is when you assign the qualities of a person to something that isn't human or isn't alive. Like it is when you give an animal or an object qualities or abilities that only a human can have. It is used to bring a non-human thing to life. Now here in the last para, love is personified. He's not saying that a human being fled away. He's saying love fled away. So he's referring to love as if it's a human. Now before you assume that this poem must have come true and Morgan must have regretted losing him, it didn't actually happen, because she repeatedly rejected him later as well, years later as well, after he had written this poem. Also, a fun fact, do not idealize W.B. Yeats like he was a very great lover or something. She was his muse, but then if you go and read about them, you'll also come to know that later on he also proposed her daughter. When he was 51 years old, he went on to propose Morgan's daughter. So yeah, after reading that, I'm not sure about his love anymore. I will not say that he was a true lover. This is my view. Now I hope that this poem is clear to you, and in case if you have any query or if you face any difficulty, do let me know. God bless you. Love your parents. Stay home and stay safe.